another episode of Rolling with Emma. Today, I want to share with you another inspirational story that is filled with unconditional love and spiritual growth. And I want to welcome my good friend and metaphysical mama, Tiffany Williams, and her wonderful son, Daniel. Hi, Tiffany. Hi, Daniel. Welcome.
Hi, Emma.
Thank you for sharing your story with us today.
Well, thank you for having us on. We were just saying that you've been a friend of mine through this journey for a while now, and you have often encouraged us to share our story. And this is a great opportunity to actually sit down and kind of go into depth about it a little bit and share it, because there's a lot of wonderful things going on here, right? Yeah. We have to introduce another person. We have
an extra guest today. We've got
this is Skittles, so she's out here squeaking a little bit, but she's one of Daniel's little buddies. We've got two.
She's beautiful. She's beautiful, and she loves him very much. But yeah, I think, in regards to like sharing your story, it's sometimes hard, to talk about it, or to in a way, you're being intimate with the world and you're sharing your life in some way or form, and that can be scary. So I just want to thank you so much for having the courage to share your journey with us, and Daniel for being here and talking to me. I'm so excited that you finally decided, yes, let's do this, let's talk about it so we can show the world who you are, what great journey you're on, and share some knowledge and wisdom so people can help in whatever way or form that they can. And we can all send you love and healing and compassion from everywhere, all over the world. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. And we trust your energy. And Daniel's got to hug you and, meet you in person. And so we're really honored that you've asked us to do this.
Yeah, it was so nice to meet you guys in person, because we do this a lot like this, but it's just different when you're you're face to face and you can feel each other's energy and you can just give each other a squeeze. So I was really lucky to get to talk to Daniel about the video games, I remember, and about his story. So, well, for just the people who might not know you, Tiffany, I know you from the Joyride show, where you and Carrie have created a show where two metaphysical mamas are trying to find their way in all of this spiritual information that's out there. And you kind of share your own insights and experiences with the metaphysical. And but today I want to talk about family life a little bit. I don't want to talk about, the physical or the spiritual kind of depth. I mean, we're going to talk about that. I'm sure my guides are going to come in and do their little thing. They always come in uninvited. They just come in. They just pop into my head, and I'm sure they're going to have something to say. But what I really wanted to kind of share with the people is your incredible, brave story of your family in regards to Daniel's illness, which is FOP. I'm not going to try and say it because I tried it and it's a really hard word for me to say. So I'm just going to ask you, what is FOP?
It's fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, which basically means fibers splice and ossifies and progressively, basically.
Yeah, so it's, we say the word disease, but it's actually just a genetic programming. It's a variation in his genetics. He was the time of conception and the way his DNA lined up, one little letter out of 6 billion lines of code is slightly different, and it sent his body on this journey where if fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva means that fibers, muscles, ligaments, tendons, other connective tissues are displaced, and ossified means turns to bone over time. Progressively. So it's something that he was born with. We didn't really know about until he was in kindergarten. And it progressively, when the immune system thinks there's a problem in the body, either through a fall or a vaccination or even an illness, or sometimes totally unpredictable, just with no known trigger, the body literally will go and turn muscles, or turn them down to mast cells and then reconvert them back to bone. And so you get these ribbons of bone that form throughout, usually starts in the back, neck, and shoulders in the younger children. And then the adults, the older children, it goes up into maybe the jaw or the arm muscles. And it creates these ribbons of bone, which is great, strong, healthy bone. It's just in the wrong place. And so it totally limits the movement. Yeah, and so you started your first flare-ups when you were in kindergarten, and it got all into his back, neck, and shoulders.
12, 12, 12, we went. They diagnosed me, right?
Yeah, I have a great diagnosis story that I'll tell you in a little bit, but just to show you, we have, this is a picture of a young girl who's getting these bony formations all through her back, and it limits the movement in her body. And one of the classic telltale signs is the malformation of the big toe. It looks like a big bunion, maybe a short turned in toe. And Daniel had those toes at birth. And
they didn't notice it, or they didn't see?
Yeah, I remember the day he was born, we asked, the pediatrician came to visit, and I just said, look at these feet. And she said, yeah, just make sure he wears wide shoes, probably nothing to worry about. And so we didn't. But
I think that just kind of shows you that, that it's not very common, and that's not the first thing that pops into their minds.
There's only, how many? 800
About
known?
800, but I believe about 3,000 people have it.
Statistically, they think there's about 3,000 people in the world that would possibly have this. Right now, they know of about 800. There's only 200-300 here in the United States that are known.
None in Houston, says me.
Yeah, we live in Houston. There's 4 million people. We're the only ones in the Houston area. I found somebody up in Cypress, which is a few hours north of here, and somebody down south an hour or so. So it's very, very rare. It's one of these uber rare conditions that it's considered ultra rare.
About 2 million people have it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's genetic. It's not a disease that you catch. There are variations of this mutation that cause more or less bone. So it's a really fascinating look at why the body does these things. At the slightest change in your DNA, because we all have DNA mutations that change your hair color, your eye color, your height. But just one little tiny change can send the body on a very different experience. So that's FOP.
Right. And the thing is, I think the body, it's designed a specific way that as soon as there's just one thing out of place, it can have massive results. It can have massive changes, for that person's life. And it's so fragile. We need to give it so much love. Even if you go through these, tough times, even if you are diagnosed with something like this, I think it's so important to continue to love your body, despite, the things that might not be working the way it should be working, to actually embrace that with love. Because, I've had several readings with people who have very weird, very unique kind of illnesses. I talked to a lady, but I forgot what the name was. There was only 3 in the world that had her son's condition. And there's no research. When there's only that many people having it, there's just no research. And so they had to kind of they really struggled in finding people who were willing to experiment with certain methods and drugs and things like that in order to help him. And but she said the same thing, I love my son and his whole body and what it's doing. And as long as I continue to send it love and appreciation, they noticed that the process that it was going through was slowing down. And the moment she gets frustrated and she got upset, and why is this happening to me, and looking for a blame story or a shame story, she noticed that he got worse. So she eventually decided, you know what, he's beautiful and perfect in every way, and I'm going to continue to send that out. And it really helped to slow down the process and the symptoms and things like that. So the mind is a very powerful thing, and giving yourself love, Daniel, giving your body love and embracing it, and just knowing that there's purpose and intention behind what you're going through. And that's kind of what Eric's going. He's going, hey, dude. He just came in. He's going, hey, dude. He's like, I love you. He was just
birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Eric.
Yeah. You say thanks. He's showing me, and I think I've told you that before, he sees you as a knight in shining armor. You might be all, kind of constricted by the armor, but it's there to protect you, to keep the love inside of you, and to then be able to help others by being that defender of love and compassion and joy. So that's always what the picture that he kind of gives me when he communicates to you. So he's just saying, I love you so much. And he's saying, you're doing so great, because you're starting to fit into that role, he says, of understanding that people need to hear about this, and people need to see a face behind it and hear the story behind it, so they can relate to you, so they can see the beautiful soul that you are, and they can try and find compassion and love and send that to you. And all of that love, he says, will come towards you and will help you to achieve the things you want to achieve, and will help you to send out this, he's calling it this ripple of love and compassion and understanding, so then other people will be inspired to help you to try and find the cure, to put effort into the research into this. And that, my friend, he says, is what you are doing. So I just wanted to share that with you really quickly, he said.
How do you feel hearing that? Good. Yeah, feels good. Eric's our bud. Yeah, and thank you, Eric. He's amazing. And that's I've used that visual before too in my mind. You talk about that mother that doesn't want to send any worry or frustration, which is a real challenge because we're dealing with it here on a daily basis, to try and remember that higher purpose. And so that's a great visual to keep in my mind. But Daniel, this is hard. He really struggles with just like getting comfortable, like with his body, and dealing with the pain and the restrictions that it has on him when he compares himself to the other kids his age and what everybody else is up to. So it's been a big challenge.
Yeah.
Well, Eric is saying it's baby steps, it's baby steps, and it's really about embracing the idea that you live in a friendly universe, and that behind everything that occurs in life, behind all our relationships, all our hurdles that we have to overcome, you in some way or form chose that journey, that experience, that adventure, so you could grow as a soul. And when we continue to believe and to adopt the understanding that the universe works for you, it never works against you, and that you live in a universe that does not create anything without purpose and intention, then it's a lot easier to find acceptance for yourself. And the reason it's a little hard for you, he says, to and for anyone who's going through struggles physically, to find a sort of a peace, a sort of balance within themselves in regards to their body, is because you're constantly physically reminded of the restrictions. And so what you need to do is really relocate the focus and not see the restrictions, but only focus on the positive, only focus on the love, only focus on all the beauty that you do possess around you, on all the wonderful, fun things that you do have. And when you refocus on that, you're going to notice that your body is going to seem to be doing better. The pain is going to be better, but also you're going to attract even more more fun things into your journey and more abundant things. And that's how you feel great, because you're going to have so much love and support that you're not going to feel different than anybody else, because people are going to adore you just the way that you are, and you're going to be able to participate in a lot more than if you're only focusing on your limitations. See, if you focus on the limitations and on the pain, you're just going to attract a reality that's going to have more limitations. And we don't want that, he says. So focus on all the things you can do. Focus on all the good things in life, and then you will attract and experience more of that good stuff. And that's the trick, he says. But you have time to grow into that self-confidence. You have time to grow into that acceptance. You're not supposed to know it all at once. You have your whole life in front of you to be able to accept and love yourself and adore yourself and become your biggest fan. You got to root for yourself. You know, you got to put those pom-poms on. He's going, okay, maybe not the pom-poms for you, but you know what I'm saying. About rooting for yourself, knowing just how brave you really are, and giving yourself credit for that. Boom, give yourself a golden star. Hey, I did good today. I had a few ups and downs, but I did good. So at the end of every day, you give yourself a star. And you're going to see that slowly but surely, you're going to start feeling really comfortable in your lifetime and in your challenges that are going to become experiences and adventures instead of restrictions. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it, because I try to say all that, and he's. Yeah. So I love hearing it from another Emma and from Eric and from all of us. You do have a great support system.
So let me ask you this, Daniel. How do you feel restricted? Is it mostly just movement?
Yeah, mostly movement.
Yeah, you want to show? Because like your arms, like physically, his Can you stand up? We're kind of here. So physically,
the highest I can raise.
His arms go up that high, and so you can still touch your forehead and everything, right?
Yeah, but that's like the highest I can.
And your neck doesn't move as much anymore.
Go down.
And he's got a chunk in his right hip, so the right leg doesn't move as much, but he can still run and play, and he does have some restrictions through the ribs, so the rib cage isn't as big. So I know the breathing sometimes feels constricted, right? And what else?
That's all I can think of.
So that's the physical restriction, but
as some restrictions, sports, and
can you sit up so we can hear you?
Yeah.
He was saying he has some restrictions in sports. So the restriction it's a fine line between wanting to keep him safe and not create any additional pain and bone and flare-ups, and still letting him be a kid and explore and run and move his body. And I kind of just try to let him tell me where that line is, and it changes every day.
Right.
We went to Enchanted Rock, which is a big natural park here, and I was a nervous wreck because it's all about rock climbing. And he was like a billy goat up and down this rock cliff. And then other days he doesn't want to walk the block, to walk the dog. So
you know what that is? That is Mother Nature.
Yeah.
That is Mother Nature. She will provide you with energy. She will help you to cleanse your energy. We underestimate the power of our earth, but she is a very high vibrational energy that has a very cleansing effect on us. Unfortunately, we're not taking that good care of her. So I really urge people to take better care of our source mother, because really she loves us and she wants to take care of us. And so when you go out in nature, you'll notice, Daniel, that you'll have more energy, that your body will feel a little bit better. She will take away pain. Maybe not all of it, but she will definitely reduce it, because her energy is that cleansing, is that loving. And so it's always great to take a stroll, even if you don't feel like it. Take a walk in the park somewhere. Go hug a tree. That tree will hug you back. And, they have this phenomenal healing energy power, and so embrace that. And does he feel better in water as well? Because Eric was just showing me that being in water gives him a little bit more of a sense of freedom.
Well, yeah.
Here,
Not
let's
just
get
like
you
a
forward.
public pool, but I mean, like places where it's kind of private. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, like a public pool is busy and
Yeah.
lots of, so, but we'll go, we go and do night swim sometimes at our little pool in the community, and he enjoys that. It's not as busy, and it's just a little bit,
there.
yeah, no one's there, but he does enjoy the water, and that's often recommended for FOP patients is to exercise in water, and because you have the buoyancy and there's no impact. So that's often recommended. Warm water. Yeah.
Right. And it also, it soothes your body. It also cleanses your energy while you're doing it. So water is an excellent cleanser of the energetic field that's around you. So all of that is good for you. So Tiff, I just want to ask you, how does it, from your perspective, how does it affect the whole family? Because you have another son. How does he handle this challenge?
Well, it's in some ways it affects everything, and in some ways it doesn't affect anything, because we're still a close, loving. We have a wonderful husband. Their dad's amazing, and grandparents and school and community, and we do all the normal things. We eat out. We do travel. Daniel's, we pick and choose places where he can go, but we've done a cruise. Two cruises, yeah. And so in a lot of ways, we do everything pretty normally. And then in other ways, we really keep in mind his energy levels, his interest in doing something, and we don't want to force anything. So we've all had to adapt. And then his older brother, Evan, is almost 14, and he's pretty athletic and wants to go. And Daniel's more of a homebody, wants to stay. So as a mom, I try to keep some kind of harmony in the house where everybody kind of gets to do their thing, and it's not a crazy pace. I know some families are so overscheduled in sports and activities, and I really try to keep it much more manageable, where we all have dinner together every night, and we have weekends where there's nothing planned, and so and then in other ways, it's helped us totally reprioritize as a family, and really being in the here and now, and not, it's all about the future and planning for the future. It's all about, I don't know, really spending quality time together. We play board games. We definitely do things that, we do a lot of eating together. So, and his older brother, a side story with him is that we discovered he had a bone lesion in the back of his skull where the bone had spontaneously dissolved. And it was a kind of a 3-inch round chunk that they had to go in there and do a skull surgery and put an implant in it. And so I've got one child whose body will spontaneously make bone, and then Evan's head spontaneously dissolved the chunk of bone.
Wow.
And they're both equally as rare. And we're not really sure yet why Evan's head did that. It's an equally rare condition called Gorham-Stout, where the body will spontaneously dissolve bone. So I'm like, if they could figure out how to cancel each other out, the mechanism, and he could dissolve his bone and he could help form bone. So in my vision, I have this idea that our family is going to somehow pave the way for understanding bodies, cell structure, metabolism. Like somehow there's going to come something of this, where some researcher will get really interested and figure out what the link is between these two, because there's a lot of people who need good bone, osteoarthritis and osteoporosis, or lots of people who need good strong bones. So I'd love to find out what that link is. So I'm getting my biology degree at night on Google, trying to figure all this stuff out for myself, and it's in many ways it's been a blessing. I don't want to say FOP is, because I know Dana really struggles and has a hard time, but in many ways it's helped us be here and now and know our blessings and don't take a moment for granted. And so that's how I get through the day, is just knowing that he's perfect, he's beautiful, and like you said, we all come here with a higher purpose that we may not humanly understand.
Mm-hmm.
But getting the insight from you, from my medium friends over the years, it's really helped me maintain that view for our family.
Yeah. I think, and that's the thing, we do come all in with a purpose and intention, and I do feel that your family is going to be very important in the research into bone structure overall. I feel I do feel like this is my angel Raphael. He's very feely. He gives me a lot of feelings.
You play Raphael a lot, so
yeah.
Hi, Raphael.
Raphael. He's saying hi. Hello. He's just making me feel like a cure is coming. He's making me feel, but it's almost like the knowledge in regards to DNA combined with the self-healing power of the body. That kind of combination, they need to have more knowledge in how a stem cell works in combination with DNA. Once they figure out in detail how they can program stem cells and things like that, they're going to be able to restore the damage to the body in the different forms. So that is coming, but it almost feels like you guys are key. You are one of the key elements to get that research in that department going, and also to find the where it's coming from. There's something in your DNA and in your husband's DNA that's creating this. And it's almost like they're going to research that DNA to figure out what combo creates this. And so yeah, I think there's definitely massive, bigger intentions behind all of this, behind just the personal experience. And it is true when we go through these things. For me, for example, with my kids who are autistic, it's very different. My kids are physically top shape, but when it comes to communication skills and when it comes to understanding the simple things like brushing your teeth, putting your pants on, that seems to be rocket science to them. But then when it comes to like numbers or organizing, they're brilliant in it. Anybody who goes through having a child where you're not really sure where the future is going to head, you don't really know how the I don't want to call it the disease, but how their beingness is going to evolve to, what's going to happen to their body, what's going to happen to my child's mind status, where are they going? I don't know. It really brings you to that now moment, and it kind of allows you to focus on what's really important in life, and all the distraction of what it should look like, what it should be like, who they should be, all of that fades away. It's no longer relevant. What is relevant is what we do today, what we do together as a family. And so it really highlights a correct way of living, believe it or not. It really highlights living in the now and seeing all the beauty, and it creates appreciation in your heart, and it creates compassion. And really, that's why we're here. Anybody who's out here in this world is here to feel compassion and love and creativity. And I think these things that we are going through with our children, it forces us to be creative in all different ways and forms. But creativity really is connection with source, is source helping you come up with new ideas, come up with new insights, and that's us channeling energy. And so there's so much good stuff about this as well. Despite the human struggle, there's still so much energetic and spiritual bliss to be found in situations like this. So that's how I see it. That's kind of how my angel Raphael kind of portrays it to me, is to see the bliss in this. To everybody who's out there having a hard time finding acceptance for what is happening to their child, just know and understand. This is kind of my thing. Look at yourself and go, wow, he or she chose me to be the mom, which is a privilege, which is, they thought that I would be strong enough and loving enough to be able to get them through this. It's such an honor to be that mother figure, to be that father figure for that child who's having a hard time. And that's kind of how I see it for me, despite the struggles and the frustrations. Trust me, I pull out my hair sometimes too. I don't get what they want to say. I sometimes have that too, or I don't understand why they do certain things. It's so illogical to me, but to them it seems to be, hey, this is normal. So that's the thing. If you can't find acceptance for it, just find acceptance in yourself that they picked us to be their strength, to be their source of support. And I'm gonna be the best me that I can be for them. Yeah. And I think that gives you a sense of joy and a sense of acceptance in those situations. So that's my advice to everyone.
And we found things that he's really good at. Can you talk about some of the things you love?
Video games.
Yeah, video games and animals.
Cooking, kind of.
Cooking. He's getting really into cooking. So we are finding things that are, and reading. He's a great reader, and he's a great student in school, even though he complains about going every day. He actually is a really good student.
Yeah, but who doesn't at that age?
I know, right? I'm like, yeah, you and every other kid.
Everybody does, but it's good that you're not allowing your illness to restrict you in what you do, and that you're really putting yourself out there and say, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. I think it's always good to find creative ways for you to explore the world, but also to explore yourself. What do I like? What do I not like? What can I handle? What can I handle? It's so important to find your own boundaries, but also to find your own passions and your own joys. Because if we can hold on to our joy and our passion, that just elevates our frequency, that elevates our energy, and that makes us feel more consistent in life as well. So I'm really happy that you're not just hiding in the house, and that you're really trying to, find out what you like, what you don't like. That's what it's all about.
He went on the school trip over the summer. They sponsored a trip up to Washington, D.C. for 6 days with all his buddies, and I was nervous, because he was in a flare, and he was on this new trial medication, and he's like, he didn't want me to go. He's like, I want to go do this. So we sent him, and my husband and I went to be in the area, and he was so mad that we were there, and they never called us. We didn't see him at all, but
I called you once.
Just because he forgot. Yeah, he was the only kid out of 30-something. They were playing a Nerf gun war in the hotel room, and he went diving under the coffee table for cover, and smashed his head, cut his head.
Uh-oh.
The kid. I get the call. He's cut his head. We don't think he needs stitches, but we're watching him for a concussion. I'm like, oh gosh.
So it sounds to me like he's the most restricted, but not in his fearlessness. Not in his fearlessness.
I know.
He's going all in.
These gray hairs are because I'm letting him be fearless, but at the same time, so
Mom's like, oh no.
I just send that light. I imagine this, his angels around him, and that joy in his heart that he's doing something, pushing the boundaries. I'm like, okay,
yeah, you need to be able to, just matter what his physical condition is, to allow him to kind of explore his boundaries and see how far can he take it, and how far until it becomes uncomfortable. So sometimes, and as a mom, you just want to protect him and put him in a bubble, but sometimes they need to, do crazy stuff like hit your head. So, that's not something I need to do.
Well, we have a great FOP community. We are very lucky that we have an FOP association, and it was started 30-something years ago by Jeannie Pieper, who had FOP, who didn't know anybody else. Most people didn't know anybody else who had it, and started being introduced slowly, and did letter writing, was a pen pal to some other people, and slowly started this newsletter, and then it became
Internet.
Digital and internet. Yeah. So we now have this FOP community where adults can share stories. There's mothers groups, and so we can all share our stories. And the older ones are like, you have to let them be a kid. Like, I rode my bike. Some people do bungee jumping, even though they know they're going to get a flare up. They're like, it's worth it. So it kind of gives you that, okay, just, you got to let this thing go. And there have been sets of twins that have had it, and it has progressed very differently for each of them, depending on illnesses or falls or other factors that we don't know. So you kind of got to let that spirit lead you. And at least that's how we've done it. We let that spirit lead us.
Yeah.
You got to allow them to live, you know, because I think a lot of people who have illnesses, doesn't matter which illness, they kind of shut down, you know.
Well, I can see why.
They're sick and I, you know, they shut down. But I think it's harder to force yourself to get yourself out there, to try new things, to try and find joy. It's easier to just kind of fade away and allow yourself to go into a very dark place. But I think that the effort is going to be worth it, and just to find yourself and to really embrace yourself with love and light and say, you know what, I'm not going to let anything stop me. I'm going to do what I do, and then we're just going to take it one day at a time, and I'm going to shine, and I'm going to be the best me that I can be, and that is who I'm going to be. And I'm going to do what I want, and I'm going to say what I want, and I'm going to be me. And that's it. You know, you got to create your own magic. You got to create your own art in life. And there's so many beautiful, inspirational people out there who have illnesses, and they go out and they have these shows on YouTube, and they show their daily life and say, hey, this is me. These are my struggles. This is what I look like when I have a bad day. This is what I look like when I have a good day. But it's all me, and I'm proud of it. And I think there's such an inspiration, because people who are completely healthy, they can get so lost in these very kind of small things that makes them miserable. But there's, you know, and then you have these people that are struggling physically, but they're like, yay, let's live life to the fullest, you know? We can all learn from that strength and from not allowing the things that make us feel uncomfortable to determine our lives, to determine our experiences. Yeah. And that's what's great about sharing these beautiful stories. So in regards to medicine, is there anything that is helping with this, or is it just pain reduction? What do they know, or what do they have now?
They have, right now I'm in a clinical trials they already done the adults, but right now they're doing the kids. And it might become the cure, but they're going to work on a cure that will, like, be better, right?
Yeah, so historically...
That'll, like, stop it, because this one doesn't let bone grow. They're going to try to find a cure that, like, gets rid of the gene, fixes the gene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so historically there has not been anything. There's been some pain management and some steroids to try to calm the immune system down, because the immune system's doing what it thinks it needs to do. It is programmed to do this. Yeah. So unfortunately, it's in the cells. So they are the pain management, you know, with NSAIDs and stuff, with ibuprofen and some steroids. But there are some new pharmaceuticals just coming on the clinical trial scene that are looking like they're treatments. They're not cures. They don't stop the process, but they're trying to jam the lock where the bone doesn't actually form. Now, as he said, they're doing it. They've done it successfully in adults, and they've responded pretty well. But in children, you want them to grow developmental bone. Right. So you don't want to stop all bone growth. So we're in a trial. We can't talk about it too much because it's still undergoing for the next year and a half, next couple of years. And it's got some side effects that are difficult to manage. So we're hopeful that it'll be part of a treatment plan coming up in the future. But we're just blown away that we even have something to try, because most people, there are a lot of rare diseases that don't have the clinical trials, the research team, the funding, the support, the community, and we have all that. So we're super grateful for all the doctors and researchers. Dr. Kaplan is a doctor who years ago met people with FOP and kind of said, oh, and then he met a child with FOP and he's like, this is where it starts. And he kind of devoted his life to finding the cure for it. And he's been funded, and now we have sites all over the world of different people in it. Because a lot of people can benefit from having good bone. There's a sister disease called heterotopic ossification, and a lot of trauma patients grow bones in their muscles. Like a veteran who maybe has an explosion and loses a limb, it'll grow bone in all that muscle, so it's difficult to put in prosthetics. So the military is interested in understanding about this bone growth. So we are very fortunate. There are different avenues of research that are starting, but it's a long process. It takes decades to get things through these channels. And so we're just keeping healthy and calm and having fun and trying. Daniel's being a little guinea pig, like Skittles, and he's trying, and we're hoping that it'll benefit, future kids, that this is part of the treatment plan. So that's where we're at with the pain, right? But it's very painful when the body's doing that to the bone, the muscles. It's a very painful situation, and yeah.
I think, this is the beginning, and I think it's just going to grow and grow and grow, and more people are going to feel invested into finding these answers, because it starts with understanding it, and then comes the cure. So I do think that you guys are part of that research that's going to find the understanding part, so they can build upon finding a way to either reverse it or completely heal it. So
I wanted to throw one more thing, because my mom and my stepfather are both in spirit, and I've been talking to them for years through mediums, and their advice has been a godsend for me in putting this journey as a peaceful one. And my dad was actually really instrumental in helping me diagnose Daniel. I do EFT work to help people through difficult emotions. And if I have somebody who's in a lot of grief, I will often suggest a reading with a medium, so they can continue that conversation with their loved one and know that the grief is normal, but they don't have to stay there. And in the reading, my stepdad came through and said, I need to talk to you about Daniel. His immune system is very active. He's having an autoimmune response. And at the time, there were no symptoms yet, so it didn't really make sense, and I didn't know a lot of questions. But pretty shortly after that, when he was in kindergarten, he got this massive lump.
School for like 27 days.
Yeah, he missed a month of school because we didn't know what it was. I was taking him to the pediatrician and orthopedic doctors.
I was at the hospital for 8 hours. And I had like 6 blood draws, but they still couldn't find it.
Yeah, nobody knew what it was. And I was like, it's his immune system. It's his immune system. And so we were trying to get in front of rheumatologists to look at his immune system. And one day I landed on the webpage I was Googling everything about immune system and this massive swelling. And I was put on the FOP webpage. So we were luckily able to miss all the misdiagnosis. Often 95% of people are misdiagnosed as something else, like a fast-growing tumor or cancer.
Right.
And they do all kinds of chemo, radiation, amputations, unfortunately sometimes. So that guidance from spirit, those intuitive hits, really guided us from the beginning on this journey. So I think that's one of my big spiritual lessons here is that I'm not in control of this. This is a journey that we're all on together, and to not fight it. And the more I'm relaxed, the better advice I can get. And my dad is in spirit, has been really interested in helping us find this cure, and has been giving me ideas that I'm now passing over to the researchers. So who knows, one day maybe that'll connect some dots, and it's way outside of the box thinking, but they're listening and they're asking questions. And so this cure that we're talking about, I think inspiration, it's going to be this collaborative thing, maybe my other son and Daniel and grandpa and spirit and the doctors. So it's stay tuned, because this is a multi-chapter story here, right?
I think it's just, it's planting seeds, and that's what spirits are really good at.
Yeah.
You know, they won't give you all the details because otherwise there's no point of being here if you know everything that's going to happen, because then you miss the experiences that's attached to it. But they plant seeds, and I'm sure your parents are going to continue to put seeds in your mind, and you'll be sharing that, and eventually that it's all going to make sense to someone, and then you're off on this journey of discovery and understanding. So yeah.
But it's helped me not fight the journey as much. I'm more like, what's going to happen next? Instead of, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? It's a little bit of that.
It's scary. It's scary not knowing where this is headed, and just you have to be really brave to just surrender to it and say, I don't know, but we'll see.
It's going to be great. Wherever we go, it's going to be great. So
yeah,
that's where we
how's Skittles doing?
Skittles is good.
You have anything to say?
Dude, yeah, she's just, I don't know if you can hear her. She's just squeaking away. But Daniel loves his pigs. He's got a boy and little girl Skittles here, and their company, their companionship is just real. And we have a big black lab too, Rascal, but these guys are snugglers.
Oh, good. I love to snuggle too. You can always snuggle with me, Daniel, when I come in. So Daniel, how do you see your future? What do you want to achieve in life? Do you have dreams that you want to see fulfilled?
Not really yet.
Or are you just going one day at a time?
Yeah.
He wants to be a world famous YouTuber. So
no,
look
I
at.
never said that. I never said that.
He'll be a professional gamer, and
okay,
he said it in secret. It can change though.
Yeah.
But he's super smart and creative and funny, and so pretty much whatever he wants to do.
So, Mom, you're embarrassing me now.
It's true. It's not embarrassing if it's true.
My advice is, do you just take it one day at a time, and it's going to come to you. Yeah. And once you find it, you're going to be so excited about it that's going to take up your whole direction. And that's who you're going to be.
Yeah.
That's my advice. Just let it flow. Just allow the universe to bring it to you. And it's going to feel so good that you won't be able to turn away from it. That's how you find your destiny. That's how you find your purpose.
Yeah, it rises up to meet you one step at a time.
Yeah.
I mean, Daniel just turned 12, and so he's
like a month ago.
Yeah, he's got
right now. He just wants to have fun.
Totally, just to hang out and have fun, relax. He likes to relax.
There you go. That sounds like a perfect life to me.
Totally, right?
That's why we're here. Relax, have fun, surrender to the universe, and just follow your heart. You do that, you're always right on track.
I almost dropped her out. I was hoping she would sit still.
Just to close off, how can we support you? Is there a website we can go to? Do you guys have a website? How can we contact Daniel if we have questions? What can we do, the audience, to help you guys?
She made a website for me. It's called www.daniels-den.com, and there's www.ifopa.org, which is like the association website, and you can donate through either of those or just learn about it.
Yeah, just learn about it. It's so rare. I mean, the chances that you actually meet someone with it are pretty small, but
I miss 1 or 2 million.
But you may meet someone, and the little toes are the telltale sign before diagnosis. So somebody might know someone who's got baby's got the toes. It was interesting when he was maybe not even a year old. I had gone to a Renaissance festival, and a fortune teller. I got my palm read, and I didn't have my baby with me at the time. But she, during my card reading or palm reading, she said, "Your baby has crooked toes. You need to go get those checked out." And so I took him to our hospital, our children's hospital, pediatric orthopedics, and I was like, "My baby has crooked toes." And they said, "Yeah, he sure does." They didn't even put that clue together at that point. So just planting those little seeds. Ow! She's just nibbled me. She's hungry. She's hungry.
Give me something.
So hold on, we're almost done.
So yeah, whoever might know a baby or somebody who has a child with those toes, just have it checked out and maybe put that seed in the doctor's head if they don't, not really sure what it might be.
Yeah, and then now that this is considered a rare disease, there's the National Organization of Rare Disorders, conditions, and disorders. And there's Rare Disease Awareness Day in February 29th, because it's the rarest day of the year. So now that we are in this community, there are so many people who, I think it's like 1 in 10 or 12 people are living with a rare condition. Mm-hmm. So individually they're tiny, but collectively it's a large percentage of the population has got something going on. So it's just to have that awareness and that compassion and open-mindedness to be inclusive for people who have something different, because it can be very isolating and feeling alone for a lot of these conditions.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of miraculous things going on in research and development, and people overcoming really difficult challenges and thriving with them. So I just, first of all, count your own blessings if you're pretty typical and normal, and, enjoy it. And then just have awareness and compassion that there's a lot of people dealing with some really just difficult things. And we have a website for Daniel's if you want to learn more about ours. And of course, always financial donations or anybody who's interested in research. There's just so much going on. It's a lot to keep up with, the research that's going on, but it's really exciting. He wants to put her back. You gonna go? Are you saying goodbye? Are you coming back?
Yeah, I'm coming back.
I'll let you guys go.
Back. He wants to put the guinea pig away.
Have a great day. I'm just happy that we got to share this with the world. So I'm gonna put all the links up.
Okay.
So you guys can go and visit and check out Daniel's story and things like that. And that's the whole thing, isn't it? Be appreciative for who you are, what you have, and who you're with. And I always say to people, see beauty in everything, even in the things that aren't comfortable, even in the things that aren't easy. Just know that it's happening with purpose and intention, and see the beauty in that.
There really is. And we've had people in our community reach out and do incredible things. One friend donated her entire honey harvest, and we sold her honey in this Believe in a Cure honey campaign, and we'll do it again in February. So if you see me selling honey and you want to support FOP, that all goes to the FOP Association. And another mom at our school, we did a fundraiser at the school. So people reaching out and doing incredible things out of just wanting to help in some way has been, it's been so nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have friends at school that help you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that's how we're going to heal the world, Daniel.
Right?
Yeah.
One person at a time, reaching out, finding compassion for each other, and finding ways to help each other, even if it's very small.
Yeah.
As long as we reach out and we try to be of service to others, but also of service to ourselves, and we can find a beautiful balance in that.
Yeah.
How we're going to heal the world.
And mostly just prayers and that good vibe for just living an awesome life, whatever yours looks like. Just that appreciation and gratitude for it, and sending that our way. We'll always take it.
Right. And prayer is it's really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're sending out an intention that, thank you for helping me. You're sending out a thank you, which is always a high vibrational energy. And whenever we are appreciative and grateful, we are always attracting more positive to us. So prayer is a very powerful tool to manifest and attract exactly what we want to achieve.
Yeah. And I've been told, we did reading with Alice and Alan, and she told us that we're a soul family, that we like to come in and have challenges, to kind of take turns having difficult things to deal with in a life, and then everybody else gets to see how they want to show up and support that person or not, their choice. So it's your work, the work of translating Spirit's messages has been huge in my journey to accepting this and living with it. And I impart that to Daniel as much as I can. And I think you've told me he never does anything that's not extraordinary. So he came to do this in an extraordinary way. And so I'm like, okay, that's how we're going to do it this time around. Fine.
Well, and another thing that I always feel when I look at your family is, because, I just don't see your family. I see all this energy around it. And I think that, in every journey that you guys undertake together, in every incarnation, there's always something in it for the collective. There's always a growth process in it for the collective. And, to everybody who's listening, know and understand and really keep that in your heart, that every thought, every feeling, every action and reaction affects all that is, affects every single entity. Because it sends out an energy wave that has this ripple effect, and it moves people that you've never met and that you might never meet, but it has an effect on their energy as well. So if you find love and acceptance in your heart and you send that out, no matter what the situation is, you're always going to be assisting to the healing of the universe. And that's the beauty of being you, is you have an impact on everyone and on everything that is and that is being created. We are part of a collective that works together and sometimes against each other, but overall, we always affect each other. So be very aware of who you choose to be and what you choose to do, and just of your own thoughts. Love yourself, adore yourself, because the people around you will also benefit from that self-love.
Great words of wisdom.
All right, guys. Well, thank you. Thank you for being on the show and for sharing your beautiful story. Thank you, Daniel, for being so incredibly brave on this journey. And I can't wait to see more of you on that YouTube channel, man. It's going to happen one day. He's going, I'm not sure about that yet. Well, either way, whatever you choose to do, it's going to be brilliant, it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be you. Okay.
Thank you. And thank you to Eric and Raphael and all my mom and dad, all of our angels and guides. And thank you, Emma.
You're welcome. They're all sending you love. So
love back to you.
And I'll see you guys later.
Okay, bye, honey.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.